right, you know the rules. Robots paint. You guys guess. I give the clues. Let's do the top 20 biggest TV news stories from the 60s and 70s. So the first one is a gathering of nearly 500,000 young people seeking peace and music. Legendary performances from Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and more. But we're doing top 20 news stories, so it was newsworthy. Something that was newsworthy. Symbolized the counterculture movement in the late 1960s. Very good. You're all getting it. I think Aaron had it first. Aaron, Stewart, Erwin, Maddow. The largest music festival of its time broadcast to millions. Woodstock Festival. Who knows the year? Anybody got the year? Who knows the year of Woodstock? Despite the chaos, Woodstock became a symbol of peace and harmony. There you go. That looked miserable though, right? The rain. The rain right in the middle of, what was it, 4 days or something, or 4 or 5 days, and it rained like heck. One of the days made it a giant mud pit. No, it's later than 1963. Later than, yeah. There you go, Stuart. Stuart has it. 1969. 1969. Big story though. Number 19. Now this was a big story. Interesting one. A tragedy that unfolded live during an international sporting event. Palestinian terrorists took Israeli athletes hostage. A failed rescue attempt led to the deaths of 11 athletes. It sparked debates about security at global events. So, who remembers the subject of the story? It shocked the world and marked a grim day in Olympic history. Well, that's not quite it, Stuart. You've got the idea. You've got the idea. So, I guess, I don't know if I'd call it hijacking. Although then hijacking became quite the popular thing right after that, or right before that. This was the Munich Olympics massacre, where they came in and, kidnapped and then killed a lot of those athletes, and then the Israeli Mossad, went out and just killed all the terrorists, and that's how it ended. There was no negotiation. Yeah, that's it. You guys got it. You guys all got it. This event led to a major security overhauls for future Olympic Games. Yeah, I bet. What a wake-up call. All right, now this picture indicates the end of the event, but this was an event that unfolded over about a week's time. The world held its breath as astronauts faced a life-threatening situation. An onboard explosion crippled the spacecraft en route to the moon. Houston, we have a problem became an iconic phrase. The mission's focus shifted from landing to survival. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Correct, Erwin. You are correct. Who knows what year that was? So we know that Apollo 11 was 1969. And the mission's successful recovery, which we see here, was dubbed a successful failure. There you go. Well, yeah. Talk about. How many bad things and how jerry-rigged they had to do things to get back. It was just insane. It would make a great. It'll make remakes. I mean, I know they've made the movie, but yeah, it was 1970, so it was just the next year. I guess Apollo 12 was in between there. So number 17. This was a big news event, and changed the world really. A groundbreaking diplomatic effort during the Cold War. This marked the first time a U.S. president did something. It helped open diplomatic relations between two superpowers. Nixon met with someone. The handshake symbolized a new era. So there's Nixon, and he's shaking hands with somebody. Anybody remember what was a huge news story? 1972? 1972? No, it's Nixon. It's Nixon, and it's a groundbreaking diplomatic effort, and he helped open relations between two superpowers. Nixon met with Chairman Mao Zedong in Beijing. So Nixon visits China. No. It's Nixon visits China. This is much earlier than the wall falling and all that. Much earlier. This paved the way for China's modernization and global integration. There you go. Picture wasn't too good, right? And I had to be vague on the clue. All right, this was a huge news story. A little more fun. America was swept away by an unexpected musical invasion. 73 million viewers tuned in to watch 4 young Brits. Screaming fans marked the birth of something. The performances changed the landscape of pop music in the U.S. Yes, yeah, everybody's getting it. Aaron, Menno, Erwin. What do they call it? Okay, what show specifically was this on? What year was it? And what did they call the movement that it kicked off? Songs like I Want to Hold Your Hand were performed this evening. Slipknot. This is the Ed Sullivan Show. The Ed Sullivan Show, it kicked off something called Beatlemania, and the year was 1964. There you go. All right. I think the internet's just a little slow tonight because you guys are getting the answers, and they're coming to me a little late. So Rhombus is in the house with the right answer. That's the Aaron at it. Very good. Very good. I think Erwin had the original answer too. All right. This was a big event. News story. A tragic clash between students and National Guardsmen. Protests against the Vietnam War escalated to deadly violence. Protests against the Vietnam War escalated to deadly violence. I said that. I'm on repeat. I'm stuck in a glitch. 4 students were killed and 9 others were injured. Correct you are, Erwin. Aaron. The iconic photo of a student grieving over a fallen friend shocked the nation. So yeah, this is the super famous photo, right? Super famous. The event, or infamous, we might say. The event fueled anti-war sentiments across the country. So yeah, this was a big deal, right? Big news story. Big news story. Kent State shooting is correct. 1970. The song Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young was written in response to this. Ohio. Yeah, there you go. This is an interesting one. An heiress abducted from her apartment by a radical group. Shockingly, she later participated in a bank robbery with her captives. The transformation from victim to militant puzzled the public. Oh, really? You had a high school teacher that was there. That's crazy. You guys remember this story? Crazy story. And do you remember the name of the militant group that she joined? Very interesting stuff. The eventual trial raised questions about brainwashing and coercion. Patty Hearst is the correct name, and so the whole story, unwound over 2 years, 1974, 1975. She was eventually, freed. They got her, but then they arrested her. Right? Yeah, Stockholm's Symbionese Liberation Army. That was what that symbol was. Keep that in mind. Now, even worse. Think that's weird or worse. A charismatic cult leader led his followers to South America. Congressman Leo Ryan was killed while investigating the cult. Over 900 people died. Correct, Erwin. Tell me about it. What's the name of the event, basically? And what happened? What did they do? It's kind of weird, right? Yeah, there you go, Beto. And Stuart, you got the other part. So between the team, we have all the answers. Jonestown Massacre, it was in 1978. And murder-suicide by drinking poisoned Kool-Aid. Oh my gosh. There you go. Kind of a gruesome picture. Robots got me going with. Yeah, not good. Not good. That was a big story, though. No doubt. All right, number 12. So this one's a little more cerebral. Political corruption that shook the highest office in the United States. The break-in at a Democratic National Committee headquarters started it. Investigative journalism from the Washington Post revealed shocking details. Oh, you guys got it pretty fast. Can you tell what the picture is? A little bit. President Nixon eventually resigned, becoming the first U.S. president to do so. So this picture is the televised Senate hearings of the Watergate scandal. And the scandal led to greater transparency in government and journalism. I don't think so. I don't think that happened. I think the robots are wrong. Yeah, the Watergate scandal is the correct answer. It was from 1972 to 1974. And I disagree that the scandal led to greater transparency in government and journalism. Strongly disagree. Anyway, that was number 10. Or number 12, excuse me. Number 12. We're down to number 11 now. next. All the President's Men, yeah. Movie about it, all of it. All right. We haven't been gruesome enough. But, 60s and 70s. Weird time. A series of brutal killings shocked Los Angeles. The victims included actress Sharon Tate and several others. The bizarre trial captivated and horrified the public. Correct, you are, Maddow. Yeah, Frost Nixon movie. Good movie. Definitely a good movie. For sure. Correct, yeah. Correct, Alex. Not Marilyn Manson, though. That's a different Manson. Although they look a little bit alike. Marilyn Manson and Charles Manson, and they're not related. Not related. We'll try to make it more humorous. Charles Manson led a cult-like following responsible for the murders. This is the Manson family murders. Who knows the year? Anybody know the year? Who knows the year? Manson family murders. Everybody got it. Yeah, sad story. All right, next up. This is going to be a little harder because the robot's picture is terrible. Telling you ahead of time. Little warning label. The year was 1969, incidentally, for the Manson murders. There you go. A lot of things happened in 69. A lot of things. A lot of big stories. Yeah. Anyway, a major political event overshadowed by violent confrontations. Anti-Vietnam War protesters clashed with police outside the convention hall. The violence was broadcast live, shocking the nation. The phrase "the whole world is watching" became synonymous with this event. That's not familiar at all? The protests reflected the turmoil and division of the 1968 America. Hey, Tetro. Check it in. Hitler did not make an appearance tonight. YouTube hates when I use Hitler. I don't know why. No, not the good guess though. Tiananmen Square. No. Anti-Vietnam protesters clashed with police outside the convention hall. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Aaron, correct. But it was a specific one. It was the Chicago Democratic National Convention protest, where all hell broke loose. All right, another big event. Number 9. The king of rock and roll passed away at his Graceland home. Well, that kind of gives it away. Fans around the world were devastated by the news. That was not a good clue, Robot. I'm just FYI. Spontaneous vigils were held at the Graceland and beyond. Yeah, so Elvis Presley what? Come on. Give me something. There you go, Stuart. Oh, and Irwin beat Stewart by a whisker. Elvis remains one of the most iconic musical figures in history. You guys should know by now. You got to be more specific. More specific. Elvis's legacy lives on with millions of visitors to Graceland each year. Who knows the year? Let's put my face up there where it belongs. Correct? Oh, no, not quite correct. Very close. 1977. 1977. All right. Known as the first televised war due to extensive coverage, graphic images of combat and civilian casualties reached living rooms. Public opinion shifted as the brutal realities became evident. Correct. No, Korean War was over by now. Fortunately, well, if we're going to stick in the 60s and 70s. Coverage ended with the chaotic fall of Saigon in 1975. Protests and anti-war movements gained momentum. The vivid news footage played a key role in shaping public perception of the war. So yeah, this was the first time first time because nobody had TVs before, but they showed news coverage, every night on your living room TV. And so, it'd be hard to support the war. It'd be hard for a public at large to support a war being shown every night on their television at home. More coverage. There you go. All right, this is an event. This is a little cleaner event. Not cleaner, though. It was a bad event. The civil rights leader was shot on a balcony in Memphis. News of his death sparked riots and mourning nationwide. Dr. King had been advocating for economic justice and labor rights. There you go. But Dr. Martin Luther King, what? What was the news story? There you go. Rhombus knows how the game's played. Rhombus has played this game before. His legacy of nonviolent resistance continues to inspire. The assassination marked a turning point in the civil rights movement. So he was definitely a marcher, unfortunately. The correct answer is Martin Luther King Jr. assassination. Who knows the year? Anybody know the year? Very succinct. Very succinct. All right, this next one's related to one of the previous ones, but it's not exactly the same. The Watergate scandal led to overwhelming pressure from Congress. Okay. Vice President Gerald Ford took the oath of office shortly afterward. That's a pretty good clue. The phrase, "I am not crooked. I am not a crook," became infamous. I am not a crook. No, Nixon was not impeached, Erwin. Nixon was not impeached. Learn something every day on Retro Rocket Live. Stuart, you have the correct answer. 68 was the correct date on the previous one, in case you guys are still care. Kinky Dick gets the boot is another way to say it. I like it. That's gonna be a new way to play the game. Name 5 ways to say the same thing. But Stuart's is the more succinct this time. Nixon resigned, of course, and Ford later pardoned Nixon, a move that sparked controversy but aimed to heal the nation. Now, we're almost finishing this next one, so we better get to it. This was a big event, and we kind of put two together because they happened just weeks apart. Both were part of the infamous 27 Club. One was in London, one was in Los Angeles. No, we did Woodstock earlier. Were you not here for Woodstock, Romans? 27 Club, 2 weeks apart. Their music symbolized the counterculture of freedom of the 60s. Fans mourned the loss of these revolutionary artists. I think Stewart had it first, but everybody's being very succinct now. Good. The death of Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin, both during the year 1970, and just weeks apart. One in London, one in Los Angeles. Which one was which? Which one was which? Hendrix and Joplin's deaths marked the end of an era, the era of psychedelic rock. I don't think that's true either, robots. I do not think that's totally true. All right, big event. Number 4 with a bullet, so to speak. Just after winning the California Democratic primary, tragedy struck. The nation watched in disbelief as his death was confirmed. He was seen as a symbol of hope and change during turbulent times. Just after winning the California Democratic primary. This stunned the American public, following just 5 years after his brother's death. Correct, Erwin. Correct, Erwin. And you're even more succinct than the robot's correct answer. Using abbreviations, of course. The assassination of Robert F. Kennedy was the thing we're looking for. And because it was part of the presidential election, 1968 is the year, RFK's funeral train from New York to Washington, D.C. was lined with thousands of mourners. Little known. All right, this one's a little more offbeat, but it certainly was a huge story and really a weird situation. This is the first mass shooting covered live on American television. A gunman opened fire from a university tower, killing 16 and wounding dozens. Police and civilians alike worked to stop the shooter. The tragedy shocked a nation unaccustomed to such violence. Well, I think that violence always happened. It just wasn't live on television. This was weird. I'm thinking I kind of remember this as a kid, with this coming on TV and it just being like, "Oh my gosh, what do you do in this situation?" Yeah, okay. Or when that's a pretty generic answer. Do you know? Can you say anything about the name of that building, maybe? This is known as the Charles Whitman Tower shooting. Charles Whitman tower shooting, 1966. The incident marked the beginning of modern SWAT team tactics. There you go. I think you'll get this one. Everybody knows this one. A shocking event that brought the country to a standstill. Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested, but then killed before trial. Correct you are, madam. Correct you are. President Kennedy was shot while riding in a motorcade in Dallas, Texas. You guys familiar with all the files I just released? Conspiracy theories have surrounded the event for decades. Walter Cronkite's emotional announcement of JFK's death became a defining moment in news broadcasting. Yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff. And the interesting thing about those files, I think, is that it actually shed light on a lot of other stuff that our buddies in the CIA have been pulling for years. So anyway, I guess we'd have to read all 80,000 pages to understand it fully. All right, the number one news event of the 1960s and 70s was humanity's greatest leap forward, and it was watched by millions worldwide. The phrase, one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind, became legendary. The American flag was placed on the moon, and it became a symbol of achievement. There you go. I like the way you guys typed all those. You're even more succinct, more complete than the robot. And once again, for kicks and giggles, everybody knows the year, right? What was the year? The moon landing broadcast inspired generations of scientists and dreamers. So, yeah, the moon landing is the correct answer. The Apollo moon landing is even better. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became global icons. And it was in 1969. That's correct.